To the fifth meeting of Big West Rotaract Club. Every 2 weeks, we hear from speakers who tell us about their inspirational stories, expertise in their field, or how they are finding innovative solutions to our world's most pressing challenges. My name is Jane Kwan, and I am president of this club. This week, we have BRENDEN, who will talk to us about how Little Free Libraries was first created and the direction they are going and how we can help. BRENDEN will give us a small introduction about himself. So without further ado, here's BRENDEN.
Hello, thank you for having me. So I've talked to a lot of Rotary clubs, but I haven't done an online one. And our founder, the guy who started Little Free Library, was a big Rotary fan. He was a member of the Hudson Rotary here in Wisconsin. And I think the first meeting that I went to, the first event that I went to with him was a Rotary club. And so we've always tried to be available for any time a Rotary asks us to talk. And we unfortunately, Todd passed away in October. He had pancreatic cancer, and then 3 weeks later he was gone. So we are kind of in finding our bearings again so that we can continue it as an organization. And business is good, and we have become something that people recognize and can, if you mention it, bring it up in conversation, people will know what you're talking about with a Little Free Library. So what I do here at Little Free Library is things like this: public engagement, talking to groups, doing media things. I work with our builders a lot, which is a big part because as a nonprofit, usually you're supported by donations, but up to this point, we've been supported mostly by the sale of the Little Free Libraries themselves and the signs that go on them. And so we have these mostly Amish builders who have really kind of been the reason that we could, I think, continue to be an organization, is because they've built these libraries that, they're Amish built, and so people see them and they identify that with craftsmanship, and we kind of have that kind of grassroots feel that Little Free Library is kind of known for. And I think that if it just became another product or like something that you could get at a big box store, we would lose that. And so I'd say that the Amish builders and the grassroots appeal is a big part of Little Free Library. It's certainly what attracted me. I was a stay-at-home dad, and my kids both started school, and about 2 weeks before I started to look for a job, I saw the first Little Free Library in my neighborhood. And when I went to the job search, I saw this position, and I joined the organization because I'm just like, this is a perfect fit for me. And so the idea of spreading books and community is, it's really exactly what I wanted to do. And so I've been with the organization for 5 years, and since that time we have now reached 85,000 Little Free Libraries around the world. And I imagine that everybody in on the call is familiar with Little Free Libraries. They've seen them. Yeah. So we've got tons and tons of media. That's kind of what has propelled us, is that people love these stories because people put them up in their yard, and they share books, and they get to know their neighbors, and it builds community. And that's absolutely true. And the one knock on Little Free Library has been that you're supposed to be a grassroots organization, but we mostly see these in like affluent neighborhoods. And what we have wanted to do from the beginning, and now finally we're able to, is our mission is to get these libraries in places where there aren't books in libraries. That's what attracted me to the organization. And now that we've had the amount of attention and notoriety, that's exactly what we've kind of doubled down on. And so I'll just tell you an example of what we're currently doing is we always wanted to work with the Native American community, and they actually contacted us last year and asked us to be part of a conference that was happening in the Twin Cities, which is close to where we're at. And it was the Association of Tribal Libraries, Archives, and Museums. And we went to this conference. We told them what we were about. We told them what we thought they could do for Native communities. And then with some funding help from Blue Cross, Anthem, aka Anthem, insurance company, they allowed us to put as a first wave 36 libraries out into the Native community across the country, with funding to do another, I think, 24 in the next few months. So Native communities often will have one library, and sometimes tribes can be the size of a small state. So obviously one public library is not going to be adequate. So we think that Little Free Libraries could augment that and get buy-in from the community. And it can be a combination of Native books and just enjoyable kids books, because sometimes that is really kind of what brings people to Little Free Libraries in the first place, is the kids bring their parents, and then they start to, it just becomes kind of like a community resource. And so I would say this Native American initiative is one of the things I'm most proud of that we've done since I've been here. But we've really, we've seen a lot of growth. We've taken advantage of the fact that we're a known entity, and we want to pursue our mission as much as we can. So we've started to do programs where we reach out to specific communities. One that we worked with in the past few years was the police, because there's a lot of, I think, repair that needs to go on between the police and communities. Certainly in Minneapolis, that was the case. And so we thought that this was a safe thing that the police could get involved in, that they could humanize the work that they do. And there are some good cops out there. I've worked with them. I wish there were more like some of the cops that I've worked with, but those who get it, they really they want it to be about seeing what they can do to be public servants in their community. And so they've actually helped us to fill these libraries with books, and they've started to carry books in the squad cars, which can be a way to kind of diffuse tense situations. You can give a kid a book, and books are kind of magical in that way, that they kind of have that kind of like universal soothing effect. To share a book that you love with somebody else, it is kind of a beautiful thing. Then to have somebody take that book and read it to you, I mean, that's kind of that's a gift. And so I feel good about things like that. I wish we could see that happen more, because I think the justice and police situation in this country is a huge stain. And if Little Free Library can do its small part to try to rectify that in any way, that would be gratifying for us. Also, we've started to do something called the Action Book Club, which is a traditional book club with the additional step of going out and doing something positive for your community. And we've got, I think, close to 700 action book clubs now around the world. And I'll just give you a few examples of what people have done with this. They every quarter we have a new reading list that you can take one of those suggestions and have a book club about it, and then be inspired by the book, or you can read whatever you want. But it's basically just a matter of getting together with your friends and finding something that you can do to benefit your community. In Mooresville, North Carolina, the group read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. The action they did was volunteering with Hands on Charlotte. In Alberta, Canada, they read the book Readers of Broken Wheel. And the action they did was volunteering to cook at the Ronald McDonald House of Central Alberta. The international online community read the book The Blood of Angels. And they went on to work to help to save bee populations. So things like that is what we've kind of done to take the Little Free Library concept outside the box and encourage people to really do good in their community, be inspired by books, to take part in the Sharon community that Little Free Library is a part of. And one of Todd's sayings that he often used was, we all do better when we all read better. And I think that's true. I think that there's no way to really kind of estimate the impact of what having these Little Free Libraries out in the world is. But I think we can safely assume that when you have books that you can take and keep in your home, it will activate an appetite for more books. And if books can kind of be the norm, and reading to kids can become more the norm, I think inevitably that is going to have effects on school performance and just kind of people's ability to participate in their community. And the achievement gap and the reading literacy crisis is so big in this country. We've always felt that it needs to be an all hands on deck thing. So it needs to be parents, schools, and the community. And Little Free Libraries are kind of a block by block, example of literacy building. So there are a few examples of people, the stewards that we call them, who really kind of go above and beyond, who really kind of take this concept and make it sing, by just not just using this as a cute way to virtue signal, or to make their yard look cute, or to show what smart books they have, but they really use this as an opportunity to excite their community about books. And more than the location, we've always found that it's the people, the stewards, who are going to be the social connectors, who can really make people in the neighborhood and the community at large want to seek these out and want to see what you have, and be surprised by finding something they're not looking for. And one guy I'm really fond of, he's from the Navajo community in Arizona, named Dwayne Yazzie. He did things like he recently announced on Facebook, which he's very active on around his Little Free Libraries, is that he was going to put 2 signed copies of David Grann books, which is his favorite author. He went to a book signing. He got the book. He got it signed. And then he put these signed copies in the Little Free Library for people to come and get. And then he announced it. That is something that I wouldn't be generous enough to do, but Dwayne did. And I'm just so impressed when people really kind of get it, and they really just kind of run with the idea and kind of see that this simple act can actually be very profound, and connect people at this really kind of like visceral level of sharing something that moved them. And So I guess it looks like we're getting close to about the 20-minute mark. I want to save some time for questions. I guess I would encourage the Rotary. I know that you guys are kind of far flung. You're not all in one place, but we would love to do something with the Rotary. The West Coast is our fastest growing demographic. California is someplace that you could put a little free library in year round. You can't do that here, for example. And so we're doing a lot of work around our partnership with Anthem Blue Cross. So if your group ever wanted to do an initiative with us, Little Free Library would love to partner with you to do that. So I think that's about the basics that I wanted to tell you, but I'd love to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I actually have a question. I was kind of looking through your website, and I saw that you could buy, obviously, the free little library like kit to make your own.
Yes.
Like whether it's like at your home or maybe at your place of work. I was curious because I have seen people make them themselves without the kit. Is that something that you guys encourage, or is there like a system with that?
Oh, we've always encouraged people if they're able to build their own, and we just ask that they put a Little Free Library charter sign on it with a number to make it official. So when we say that there's 85,000 out in the world, that's that have signs. Who knows how many are out there that don't have signs? Maybe that many more.
Mhm.
But refreshingly, most people do put a sign on it. So just anecdotally, so yeah, absolutely, you can build one, 100%. Some of the coolest ones that are made are the ones that are made by people out in the world who custom make them. So
Awesome, thank you.
yeah. About the kits, though, I will say that I always encourage people to look at that as an option, because the kits have the advantage of being something that lots of people, regardless of carpentry skill, can participate in, including like kids, maybe like 10 and up. The holes are pre-drilled, all the hardware comes with it, and an hour later you have this box that's going to be out in the world for 20 plus years. It's very kind of satisfying. It's kind of daunting, but then the instructions are good enough that you can actually build this. So I always encourage people to look at the kit option. It's a really good team building thing, and it might be something for like a Rotary group to do, would be to get some kits and put them together and then find good places for them.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions for Brendan?
I have a question.
Yes.
You said California and the West Coast is becoming like a booming area for these.
Yeah.
What other states have been really popular for you guys?
As you might think, Wisconsin, Minnesota, where this started, has been our base. We have the most probably per capita here, but then it started to really kind of expand in places like Texas, Cleveland, Ohio, places where we were deliberately kind of planting seeds of like putting like 20 or 50 of these that we would donate, and then we would see them grow to hundreds. There's also a lot in the South, which has some of the worst literacy rates, and so communities are seeing the possibilities of this, and they're really embracing that. And so we've organically seen it go from these going in front of people's houses to now people will get 20, 30, 50 of these and put them all over the community so that they can really make an impact. So, but, also places where you would think that they would be, highly literate places like Seattle, and just the warmer states where this can really be a year-round thing.
So I had a question. Sorry, I'm a little sick. So
yeah.
so I was kind of playing around on the website because I know there's like a map. You could see where all of them are. So I noticed that there's some in other countries, but it looks like they're pretty far and few between. So how is your business trying to expand into those countries?
Well, for example, somebody who a doctor here who's from India originally has a 4-year-old daughter who read a book about Gandhi and was inspired to do something, and she's used Little Free Libraries her whole life, where she is at in Cleveland, and I'm sorry, in Detroit, and so she said, "Mommy, I want to do something in India with Little Free Library," and so her mom contacted us and asked if we could donate 10 signs that her sister, who's going to India this month, could take with her to start a Little Free Library program in India. And so it's kind of like it's people who can kind of who have experience, who maybe are from there or have connections there, that we try to do what we can to encourage that. We don't really have the capability of shipping libraries there. It's too expensive. It's cost prohibitive. And Todd, when he was alive, did a lot of work in the Philippines to try to get the Philippines up and running. And it's really difficult to do it from our little office here in Hudson, Wisconsin. And so we really rely on people who are passionate there, and they take the concept, and we do whatever we can in the way of, donating signs, giving them expertise, telling them how it's been successful in other places. But it's surprising how many countries have taken this idea and run with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe Vanessa has a question as well.
I think I'm unmuted now, am I?
No, you're good now.
Okay, cool. Hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for your talk today. I know you kind of talked about how Little Free Library started and with Tom and everything. That's so awesome. I was wondering, you talked about the kits, and I actually haven't even seen what visually this may look like. So my question is kind of like, how did this start, like kind of from beginning to end, from when you maybe first are reached out to from a new customer or someone that wants to put a new Little Free Library either in their residential area or outside their corporate office? Like, kind of what's the communication? Like, how does someone know how to start? They build it. What does it look like? And then what is that correspondence with you and your team out in the Midwest?
Good question. So that's our most common question is how do we start one of these? And my standard answer is to encourage people to go to the website. We have a really good website. We have probably 25 different libraries that we sell, and they're Amish built, so they're weather tested. They're going to fit on a post nicely. You can get them painted or unpainted, depending on if you want the experience of, painting a custom color. And you can get them already built or in a kit, and the sign will already be on it. And then we send them instructions about how to mount it on a post, about how to kind of have a grand opening, about how to use the media and social media to generate excitement around it. We give them tips about where to get books. Books actually is a small part of the equation. It's fairly easy to find cheap books. If you can do a book drive, you can go to thrift stores. You'll be amazed if you put the call out amongst your friends how many books they have that they're relieved to get rid of. And the other thing is that once a little library is successfully up and running, it becomes self-sustaining ideally, because people start to share the books. At first they'll just take them, and then they'll start to also bring books back. Not necessarily the ones they took, but and so that's what we encourage people to do. We also tell them to feel free to build your own, and then just put a sign on it. Join the community, which I said before most do. Put it on the world map on our website so people can find it. That's the most visited page on our website, is because people want to find out where these are at in their community. And then they stay in touch with us through our social media. Our Facebook has tens of thousands of people on it. They're really active. They're really jazzed about it, almost to the point of kind of like geeking us sometimes. I work here every day, so my enthusiasm gets muted, but these people are like talking about how they trick out their library and how they have themes and how can I add a solar light, and it's just, they're always like brainstorming of how to make this fun and exciting, and so we stay in touch with people that way. We have an e-newsletter that we send out. We have special offers. And we always try to be kind of steward forward, because they're really the kind of people who are going to go out and make this continue to grow. And we've started to utilize what we call super stewards, which are those people who kind of self-identify as being willing to kind of go out and be kind of, to kind of spread the mission out in the world. And so we've got like an army of book-loving Little Free Library stewards, and we really want to mobilize them to do good things. And so, why not? We're here in Wisconsin in an office with 10 people, but we've got all of these passionate people out there. And so we're really trying to inspire them and mobilize them to continue to make this grow and succeed.
Awesome. I have also a question, just kind of with all that. I've seen Little Free Libraries quite a lot in San Diego, and I've recently moved back to Orange County. So I've been actually wanting to create one. I love building things as well, so this kind of just seems like a perfect thing. I was curious if you had any recommendations on what kind of books to put in there. Obviously, like, it kind of differs from neighborhood to neighborhood, but if there is like a certain target audience that usually works better, so like children's books, or if more adults are kind of into that as well.
So my advice is always to have a good supply, maybe half kids books, and then the remainder you want to have kind of a variety of teen and adult books, and there's some crossover there, but have good kids books. They will bring their parents to the library. They will find it. They'll seek it out. And they're the ones that really kind of light up when they find a book that they can take home and keep, that it's on their level, that they found, that is not school related, that is purely like, it's kind of making reading just kind of really exciting. And that's what I would recommend. But yeah, just, you can really kind of tell the libraries that take pride in their selection, because you can tell, there's just some love. It doesn't seem like they're cast-offs. It really seems like it's books that somebody really loved and they wanted to share with the world. So if you do that, you will have a really thriving library. So I think it'd be great if you did.
Great, thank you. Are there any final questions before we end our meeting? Okay. Brendan, thank you once again for being here with us today.
Absolutely.
Our next meeting will be the week of February 18th. More information will be given via email. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you in a few weeks. That concludes our Big West Rotaract meeting, our 5th meeting of its first year. Meeting adjourned.